My name's Adam Murdoch, but I go by Zeke.
Okay.
I always have. So I'm Zeke, and my discipline is physics. My career path to get to ECC. So undergraduate, I studied liberal arts, a lot of history, a lot of this and that, science, math. And afterwards, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. So for about 2 years, I became a cook. And I really liked cooking. I still really like cooking. I like food. As many of you said. It's amazing, especially here in Southern California where we have so many options. And in the process of doing that, I started reading a lot, and in particular, physics caught my eye, and I went to grad school for physics. And then after finishing that, I started searching for jobs. It was right around the same time that you're talking about, so it was pretty hard to find a job. And I heard back from 2 places. One was in Colorado, one was in California, and so I moved out here and started working at a place called Marymount. And I worked there for about 3 years before my boss suggested that I go try to get a summer job, and met with Gene and got hired as an emergency hire, and that was in 2014, I guess. And I've been here ever since, and then recently was lucky enough to get the full-time job, and I'm really happy to be here because this school, it does some things that I think are really incredible. So that's how I came to ECC. In terms of, I'm passionate about a lot of things. I think one thing in particular I'm passionate about, I consider myself kind of a lifelong learner. I'm always trying to learn about new things from my own field, but also in other fields such as history, economics. I like learning how the world works, how it interacts with each other, how people interact with each other, and then also trying to, from that process, to understand how my students learn. And in particular, I learned through reading, I learned through watching lectures, I learned through different methods, but I found as I've grown older that the main way in which I learn really well is by gaming. I come from a family of gamers. When I was a kid, I used to play bridge with my grandmother, and I loved doing that, and I still do. And nowadays, one thing I'm currently trying to work on this semester is to integrate some video games into my class that can help teach my students things like orbits and how orbits work. Maybe some of you have heard of a game, maybe not, called Kerbal Space Program. It teaches people how to launch rockets and how the rockets. So I'm looking forward to doing stuff like that, integrate the kind of games into my classroom, and see if I can engage the students.
Fantastic. Thank you. So Zeke, Z-E-K-E.
That's right.
All right. Thank you.
My name is Tiffany Lau. I am a learning disability specialist, so I work in the Special Resource Center. I'm one of the people who signs off on the test accommodation forms. So if you guys have any questions about those, definitely let me know. Or if there are any other questions about disability-related accommodations or things like that, definitely let me know. Let's see. I also teach ed development courses, a reading skills class, a basic computer literacy course, and a math support class. So kind of a little bit of everything, which is what I like to do. One of my passions is also eating, but when I eat, I like to eat a little bit of everything. So dim sum is like perfect for me because they come in the small little portions. Tapas is great. I got here by first I came to El Camino back in the day. I didn't do any of the counseling support that they offer here. So I thought, I can do it. My 18-year-old self thinks that, yeah, I know how to do it all. So I tried to follow the IGETC and whatever, the best that I could, and then I realized, I have 60 units, but I don't have all of the class requirements I needed. So I ended up at a small little school in the forest of Pennsylvania. But that was actually the best school for me because they required a service learning project, which I did. Out of laziness, I went to the closest thing that I could walk to, which was an adult day rehab facility for adults with disabilities. My coordinator there said I was really good at it and I should consider doing a career in it. So it's like, okay. She's like, Boston University has a great program. I'm like, okay. So I went, got my master's in rehab counseling there, worked a couple years out in Boston, finally came back home and fell into the education system. I thought with my training I would do more vocational rehab, But for whatever reason, I fell into the education, so here I am. I was working for 10 years at Santa Monica College as the LD specialist over there. Finally saw the job posting for El Camino. I'm like, oh, I really hope I get it because I hate driving 2 hours of my day. So I got it, and I'm really thankful, and I'm really blessed to have this full-time position now. So that's kind of how I got to El Camino. My passions, like I said, was eating, but I too have 3 young kids who are not suitable for fine dining. So, we create our own little foodie restaurants that we like to go to. I still have my certain standards, so like Denny's is not okay. And professionally, my passions are technology. So using technology to help our students, whether they be assistive technology or general educational technology. And then I also really, really like helping people and telling people what to do. So counseling and LD specialist is a perfect fit for me because I get to do both.
Thank you.
Short, I didn't know I had some common interests with some of you. I too actually started my education at Pasadena City College. I didn't know about that. I was a first generation college student. My dad, he would fix appliances, washers, dryers all his life. So he didn't really know where to take me for college. I didn't know what to do. He drove me to Pasadena City College after we graduated. He goes, I think there's a college, so you can go in there. So I was like, I guess so. So we walked in there. I mean, I had good grades, I just didn't know where to start. So I went in there, registered. I was confused. I didn't know where to start. I was listening. How do I know when I can transfer? I had no idea. So finally started to figure this stuff out, and eventually made it. Transferred to Cal State Northridge. I was working for Merrill Lynch. I wanted to be a stockbroker. And so they wanted to hire me, but after I finished my undergrad, went to them to go through the interview process and all that. And then he told me, they said, you get minimum wage for the first 6 months, and it's completely commission after that. And I go, I have student loans, so minimum wage won't cut it, right? So I had to go find a job. Got into accounting firms, did accounting for a while, staff accountant, and then worked for a credit union. So all this was going on, and I said, I need a career change. So I was trying to get into just out of accounting, because I was getting, every job I applied to, they're like, oh, you did accounting before, you're great for this accounting job. I'm like, I want to get out of that. So I went into the government, worked at Department of Defense. A friend of mine was working there. He said, come interview with us, you like this job. I was issuing a lot of environmental permits for developers that were building multiple projects like KB homes, 200, 300, 400 homes at a time. I was doing that, and then and the guy from the real estate department kept coming and bugging me saying, hey, I think you'll do great in the real estate department, you should come over here, work with us. And this went on for like months to a year, and I said, what do I have to do? I gave up, what do I have to do? He's like, go take some classes in real estate. I'm like, I don't know what to do. So I was living in the South Bay at the time, came to El Camino, took the real estate program here, ran into a professor, Mr. Robert Rooks. He was a mentor of mine from 2004 he just passed away in January. So yeah, he changed my whole life. He pushed me to keep taking more classes in real estate. After I was done, I said, okay, that's it, I've got what I wanted. He said, no, you gotta get your license. So he pushed me to get my license and all this. He just completely changed my life. We were in touch with him forever, ever since I had finished here with El Camino. And then he called me one day. We used to have lunch on and off, and he would invite me places. And he said, hey, you need to come over here and teach next semester. I think it was semester was starting within 3 days. And, yeah, it was one of those, and it was a quick conversation. They had a scheduling issue, so he said he wanted me to take his introductory real estate class, and he had to teach an advanced one that was booked at the same day, same time, and I was like, okay, I couldn't say no, right? So I took the class as adjunct. In the beginning, I was kind of like, I don't know if I want to do this. By the end of the semester, I loved it. The students were like, hey, keep coming, we love you, keep doing this. So did adjunct here for a while, and then last semester, I was adjunct here and Compton at the same time. And when he passed away in January, I had this last conversation with him at the hospital. He didn't know he had advanced leukemia, but he went to the hospital. He thought he had a flu, they diagnosed him, and he only had like, after they diagnosed him, like 3 days to live. Because yeah, he was in the hospital for on and off for about 2 weeks. He thought it was other stuff going on. But yeah, it was moving, and I'll remember this conversation we had. He's like, he told me, John, he goes, I don't ever want to lose a student. He said, whatever you can do, if a student doesn't come to class, follow up with them, figure out what's the problem, try to get everybody through, do all you can do. Like, he was very dedicated to students. And he said, I'm concerned about my students. I'm very passionate about it. I said, don't worry about it. You don't have to worry anymore. I said, just relax, try to get better. And then we didn't know the diagnosis at that time. So he passed away. So yeah, he's been my mentor throughout life. Not just my professor. I would call him for all sorts of issues in life. And he would tell me, he always had an answer. He said, do this, do that, do this. So to make things short, yeah, so I credit my success to El Camino and meeting him in El Camino, and we're like lifelong friends. What I'm passionate about, I like camping. I have a 12 and a 4-year-old, and we like to go outdoors. I realize it's more fun than being in a hotel room in a city. You go outside, you get to explore the city a little bit more, you get to know, you feel the city better camping out. And I'm passionate about first generation students because I came from there. So.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing. Wonderful. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm Samantha Ryan. My discipline is nursing. I do both lecture and clinical in the hospital with the students. My career path has been a long one. Always knew I wanted to be a nurse, just things in life kind of came up, wasn't able to get there. I had a career as a tax preparer as well. I did that for a long time. I also had my own business right across the way. I had a coffee shop, a little smoothie shop, but it just wasn't enough for me. I wanted to go back to school, so I kind of closed all those up. Went back to school, started to get my degree from nursing. I was here. I'm an El Camino graduate as well from the nursing department. From here, after graduation, I went and got a job at the hospital. Started off in the ER department as a new grad. Kind of stayed there. I've been there, was there for like 11 years. Kind of did everything. Started off as a floor nurse, kind of moved up. Charge nurse, triage nurse, what they call a radio nurse. I was a nurse where you see on TV, hey, I got a patient who needs this, needs that. I would go ahead and give the paramedics orders and stuff like that they could go ahead and follow up and divert the patient where they needed to go, whether it was a stroke patient, MI patient or whatever, so they could get the proper care. From there, we would have the students come in, the nursing students come in to do their final semester with ER and everybody else. And I would get with the students and I just really liked teaching them. They would come in and they were so afraid still to touch the patient and to do things that they needed to be able to do to graduate. And I found that I had a passion for talking with them and getting them through it. I was always able to stay really calm and, it's hard when you're in the ER because everything is rush, and in the ER, it's kind of hard to take that step back and let that student do it because time is of the essence. So I kind of found that I was able to do that. I'd be like, it's okay, we can do it, this is how we're gonna do it, we're gonna walk them through it rather than just give it to me, I'll do it myself, I don't have time to wait, So I was like, I think I need to go into teaching. So in between all of that, I was working on getting my bachelor's in nursing. So I have a bachelor's from Western Governors. And then again, once I decided I wanted to do teaching, I went back and got my master's from Western Governors in nursing education. So just by chance, I had seen that they were hiring here, so I applied. I got the part-time position. I've been here since 2016 as well. So still teaching the same course, which is intermediate med-surg, which is kind of like their second semester. And I've just kept doing it, and I love it. I love it. I applied for the full-time, and I got it. Okay, I'm so happy. I really did not want to be anywhere else, to be honest. This was the only place that I really applied when I wanted to go into nursing, to teaching for the nursing, and I got it. And I want to give back. I felt like I had some really good instructors when I was going through the nursing program. Kind of took me under their wing. It's like, we can do this. I was kind of one of those timid ones a little bit too. And I just I'm really grateful that I had those instructors here, and I want to be one of those instructors for my students. So here I am, hoping to make, like you, more new friends, new family. It was hard to leave the ER, being there for 11 years, you know, develop a tight-knit family and stuff like that, so it was hard. But I'm looking forward to new family, friends, being here. I'm passionate, I have a couple of them. I'm an avid baker, I love to bake. So when I was thinking about my career choice again, it was like master chef, bakery, or nursing. It was like, So I decided to go into nursing, but I am passionate about baking. I do all the baking and everything for the family, holidays, friends, stuff like that. So I'm passionate about that. And my other passion again is being here, wanting to get that next generation of school students through the department, you know, through the nursing program and stuff like that, and just give them that little push that they need, that confidence that they need, you know, so that they can go out and make it. They're going to be the next generation taking care of us.
Right.
So we want to make sure that they're trained properly. So it'd be nice to know that I have a hand in that.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Hi, I am Maria Mabari. I have an MD and I practiced medicine for almost a decade. But my passion for learning made me go back to school, and I did my master's in physiology, after which I taught in a med school for a year and a half. And then I came here and I started teaching, and I have been teaching in El Camino for the last 1.5 years, since the past year. And my passion, so I have lots of passion. I have the passion for learning like Zeke has, and then I have 3 children. My eldest is going to USC. He's a spring admit. He's going to join next year. And then I have 2 other teenagers, so I have 3 teenagers driving me crazy at home. And one of my other passions is to help others. So when I was a physician, I went to serve in a rural area in my country, and there were very poor people living over there. So that serving in that hospital really changed my overlook of life. And when I came back here, I still have that passion for helping others. So I always felt that there was a need to change the way anatomy and physiology are taught. So that made me go to med school back in my country. And when I came here, I was looking for a job. I taught in LA College for almost 2 years. They didn't want me to go, but when I got an offer here, because I've been teaching here, I wanted to come and teach here, so I took up this position, and I feel very lucky. And so that's about it.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you. My name is Victor Matos, and honestly, while you were talking, I was thinking, how do I tell my story? Well, I'm from Venezuela, and there is one guy that I want to bring into the conversation. He was a high school teacher, a professor, a physics professor. More or less the story goes like this. I was playing ping pong as a Saturday. Professor Puerta had a special pre-calculus group for senior students in the high school. I had absolutely no interest on that. I was playing ping pong, that was my interest. Professor Puerta one day, looking through his door, he comes to me and said, Victor, you really are not a good ping pong player. Come to my class. And I said, well, I'll do it. He was an extraordinary teacher, one of those fantastic people who remain alive in your mind for the rest of your life. I grew up in a rough neighborhood. These happy kids who never pay much attention in class. His class was really special, everybody. Silent, attentive, everybody seriously followed the lecture. He had something special. This man was something out of the ordinary. And what I later kept telling myself is, you want to be like Dr. Puerta. I want to imitate whatever he did. Of course, I keep saying I came short of him, but during my professional life, this is one image that has always been in front of me. Caught my attention from the book, not that I have read it. There was a sentence here in the book that says, good teachers die, and unfortunately the greatness of them goes away, and what gets behind is fragments of what they did in life. But I have one of those fragments of Dr. Puerta in me. He motivated students. In my case, I continued studies. I received a degree in engineering. Later, I finished my master's. By divine intervention, I got a scholarship from Case Western Reserve University, and I finished my PhD there. And then that's in Cleveland, Ohio, and the city has that power of growing in your heart. We stayed there for 33 years. I went through the process, retired as a full professor. I had the opportunity to work in Costa Rica as a Fulbright scholar. And later in life, one of my sons who lived in California, here in Los Angeles, they had 5 baby after so many years, and my wife, who was born to be a grandmother, moved to Los Angeles. And I was living in Cleveland, and we did this for a year. And I really like my wife. So this is it. I have to retire. I can't continue, but I don't want to quit. I love teaching. And again, all these important things in my life had this magical moment of convergence, and here El Camino opens a position.
Wonderful.
I'm blessed, and a blessed man.
Thank you for sharing.
And the last point in here, passion. I'm Hispanic. Hispanic men don't like things. We love things. I love teaching. I love computing. And I get paid for that. Yeah, it's a fantastic moment. It's a great opportunity to be here. I really truly enjoy every moment. That is
Thank you.
part of my life. Thank you.
Robert.
Ravel Uteri, and I grew up in New Jersey. Went to college with the idea of being a high school math teacher for the duration in New Jersey. And after doing that for 4 years, went to graduate school, which I then continued at Indiana University in Bloomington. And I really took to the Midwest after thinking, yes, I'm going to say it, spending summers at the Jersey Shore before it was a TV show. And living kind of outside of Philadelphia, so it was definitely a matter of a big difference, you know, going to cornfields and things like that. But I liked it, and when I was there, I said, you know what I would like even more is to move to Southern California. So people said, did you know people? No. Did you have any kind of real plan? No. Other than I wanted to be in Southern California. So I was very fortunate in coming out here. I taught at Loyola High School for 8 years, and also at Pasadena City College. At the same time, I started as an adjunct. And then I decided after a few years, I worked on and finished a degree in marriage and family therapy. So I had taken some time off from PCC at that time. But then I had also decided that I said, well, to be more specific, I thought I wanted to live in San Diego, and an opportunity came up, and I moved in 2012 to just realize, no, LA is where I want to be, so I came back in 2014. And at that time, I've been adjuncting the last few years, and that was kind of a big accident. In this sense, I actually liked it, but it came about accidentally. We've all had those jobs, right? And I came back here to LA, and I took a job that when they asked me, do you want to come back? No. And in the meantime, almost just like it said, an accident, a colleague at PCC said that Cal Poly Pomona is hiring right now. I said, really? I didn't know you could work, with a master's at a university. And I started looking online and realized that a number of colleges were advertising for part-time, El Camino being one of them. So I just started applying, thinking that I'm actually looking for a full-time job, and how am I going to work full-time and teach at all these colleges that I'm applying to. but I just kind of did it anyway. And spent the last 3 years teaching a combination over 4 different campuses. Started here in spring of 16. There's a part of me I kind of really liked it. I like the freedom. I like moving around. If the traffic's not terrible, I didn't really mind driving. But after being in conversation with full-time people here and realizing that opportunities were coming out for full-time, I said, you know what, this is the year. And I applied. I'm very grateful to be here in a full-time capacity, feeling a sense of being settled in a place that I want to be. So it definitely, this is actually the short version of the story. But things are going well. And I would say a passionate would be doing things physical and outdoors, running. But as we never seem to get younger, we're facing a setback here, setback there with different injuries, different body parts not cooperating as they should. So I do my best in the midst of that, and just try to say to myself, well, what can I do with my biceps hurting today or my legs hurting another day, and things like that. But in any event, yeah, I think it's just good. It helps clear my mind, and thank you.
All right, thank you, Robert.